Hey everybody, it's Doug Garsman. We're back with part 2 of the RAWR drone. So yeah, I was going to probably do this as a stream or do another mod as a stream today, but I decided after I got back from my interview that, you know what, we're just going to do this as a YouTube video. It'll be easier, we continue on this, and I can go ahead and get this finished in a reasonable amount of time. I do have the wrong project open, so I just now noticed this as soon as I got this, so let me go ahead and grab the right one window open, and we'll get started. So this video, I want to try to get the entity spawning, and maybe a little bit of render code going. So we're trying to keep this somewhat short. We already have most of it already set up. So we have it where we can get the item out of the creative tab and the mod loads, stuff like that. So we got that going. The entity, as far as we can tell, is registered, but of course we don't really have much in the way of what the entity does, so it's not going to really matter. We do need to get the entity to spawn, and we're going to do this is we're going to just go ahead and look at how the monster egg works. So I believe this is still called monster egg, maybe? They might have changed the name. It's Monster Placer. There we go. It changes every so many versions. I think in 1.7 it was called Monster Spawner or something. I think I've been corrected a couple times. I've got the wrong name for this, but who cares? It doesn't really matter. So we want this right here. Basically this kind of concept of code right here. So this is probably what we're going to end up copying and just modifying. If you guys are making your own mods, feel free to look at how Mojang does their stuff. Some of their code is good, some of their code is bad. You do want to keep that in mind when you are working on this stuff. But for the most part, some of this code should work. So here's on item use. That changes the mob spawner. This sets the custom mob text. This add. So that will spawn the creature right there. That's through on item use, and then they have another method down here on right click. So it looks like they're just repeating the code twice. So we do want both methods, because I think this one is spawn. No, actually I don't want this one. The reason I don't want this one is because we don't want the entity spawning in air, which is what I believe that one lets you do. I believe that lets you spawn in air. We want this one because this one is going to give us a block position that was clicked. Even though what we can do with this one down here, and I believe they are doing this as well, is we can run a ray trace result and we can spawn the entity in liquid, which is what this is probably used for. This is used for spawning your zombies on water and stuff. But I don't really want to do that, so we're going to keep it simple. So we want this method right here, and we're going to junk most of this code, but I'm going to copy the whole method just so we can get going. I really don't even need almost all of this code because we're probably going to scrap everything. So we do want this part here. Actually, I'm going to change how this is done. No, I'm not. We're going to leave this stuff up here. So this is going to make sure that if we run this client side, it passes the call to the server. We'll make sure our auto override is up here too. Then this right here is going to make sure if we can't edit the block, we can't place it. So that's useful. It's not something I really care about. I don't care about the mob spawning stuff. That stuff isn't really going to work for us anyways. So we don't care about the block. We don't care about the block state. We do want the position because we're going to want to offset. I don't really care about the Y offset, but let's go ahead and take a look. Let me go back to that code there. I want to see what that Y offset does real quick because we may need to be spawning the creature like one block above. This does some collision stuff. So I am going to copy this. This is actually useful. This is going to keep our entity from getting stuck. So go ahead and do that. So we got that there. The spawn creature. Apply entity data. So we don't really need this. This right code right here is going to consume rise up. Consume item. Set name tag. Actually, do we need... Apply item data. I think I might use this. We're going to come back to this later because this is useful. We could use this to save our data for our entity that we want to save, but I think I'm going to do that by hand differently. As for this part right here, we're going to do this just by hand. We're not even going to do a thing for this, but I am going to go ahead we do kind of want this ID thing. Hold on, let me... No, we don't need that. So that's going to be used purely by their system. I am going to copy this out of here real quick because we are going to recycle this. And we're going to do this by entity.setPosition. So we're going to set that. And this is going to be new entity RAWR. And we just need to pass the world in because that's the only constructor we have. We're going to change this to entity RAWR as well because we may come back in here and add more information. So this is going to be get position. So we'll document this really quick. This is our Y offset. Make sure we change that. So that's very useful for that. Create entity. Set position. And we can't null point because we're creating it up here, so this will never be null. I'm going to set that to final real quick. So set name tag. I don't even know if we're going to be using this, but I'm going to leave the code there because we may change our minds. And let me take a look at this. So the only concern I have with this method here is that this possibly could result in your entity spawning on top of a mountain if you're not careful. So we are going to make some consideration here, and what we'll do is I'll leave a note here saying to do check max place distance. Because we don't want to have a situation where you end up placing the entity in a different location. I'm going to also fix the fields here. Looks a little bit nicer. This is just going to be Y. That's a really interesting way to actually do that. I'm going to have to remember that. That's actually really cool. And the reason I say this is really cool because usually how you do this, you usually end up doing if like A is greater than B, then you set it. But instead you can run a max method. The max method really just works the same way as I just said. If A is a certain size, then you do a certain thing. Really cool. So this should spawn our entity. So go ahead and do that. We do kind of want to put an error response to this, like can't place or something. And we probably want to check some conditions too, like you can't place it in water or something, because if it's... I don't know if we really care if the entity's in water. I mean, we're definitely going to program the entity to avoid lava and water and cliffs. I don't want to limit the entity too much though, because we want the drone to be usable, and the problem with Minecraft is the terrain is almost never actually flat in a long stretch of distance, so you don't want to run into a situation where the drone can't climb things, so we're going to definitely make it jump. Even though it feels it's unreasonable, maybe we'll give it like a thruster pack or something. So we'll give like a little flat fire animation and go, hey, it's jumped a cliff or something. I'm not going to make it fly though, so that's not happening. So I'm going to turn F3B on real quick because I want to see if we are actually placing an entity. I'm not seeing anything. Let me just get another entity out real quick. Yeah, so we can tell by our own stuff that the hitboxes are turned on, but this isn't working. So let me go ahead and check to see if we messed anything up. Now I'll put a break line here. So this code is running. Go ahead and skip over this code. 0Y offset. Our entity is created. We set the entity position. And that looks like that's one above the block position, so that's correct. Ah, we forgot a line. So there's a line we forgot to do, and this is spawn entity. This was handled previously by their code. So we'll go ahead and do this. Spawn entity in world. There we go, hit play. That's the reason why we're not seeing it being spawned, is because we just didn't run that line of code. There we go. So that's our entity. and it's going to default to a certain size and whatever when you set the size. But that means our spawn code's working and we can push it around. So let's go ahead and move to the next step, which is, of course, we need to set the size. I'm actually going to do this before we actually reload, just so I can get the size where I kind of like it. And the place where you set this at is not up there. I don't know why my brain decided it wanted to scroll up to the top. Is you want to set it in here. So we want to do some stuff here like set size, and our entity 0.8 by 0.8. It's a little bit under a block in size. So we do that real quick. And then what we should do, this isn't going to change because it's already been spawned. You can actively change entities' heights and stuff. So that looks about right. That's about the size of what it's going to be. Let me go ahead and grab it. So that's what we're going to end up with, is this right here. So that, and we may end up having to make it a little taller once we get the model in the game. That's about the right shape and size. Let me go ahead and I'm going to go grab the entity zombie to see if there's anything else I want to run in the constructor real quick. So now they just run set size here. Anything in the super experience value, we don't care about experience right now. So for the most part, we don't need to be putting anything else in the constructor right now. The next step we would probably do is what you'll end up seeing in the zombie as well, is that it's going to do a whole bunch of initialize AI tasks, apply entity AI, apply attributes. So we do want to run a lot of this stuff. So we're going to grab these. I'm actually going to delete the contents of them because I don't need the contents. Not at this stage, at least. But we want to... Actually, we don't even need this method. This is a sub-method, apparently. Let me check to see if this is an actual method that exists, or if I just copied something that does exist. So that's the reason why you use add override, is you can tell if methods are... you're overriding them as a whole purpose. So we don't care about any of this stuff, but we may come back in here later and change that. We do kind of want this stuff in here. We're going to give this an armor value of 5. We don't need this because this is only used by zombies. Follow range of 35 sounds okay. Yeah, that'll work. Movement speed of 2. That's about the speed of a zombie, so I'm okay with this. We'll leave the attack damage here. This will probably be changed. I'll probably change that. Let me see where this is implemented at. That's implemented in the constructor up there. So initialize AI, so that's over there. Apply attributes. We have a variety of attributes we can implement, and let me go ahead and kill the music in game here, so it's not overlapping with the music we already have running. Outside of that, we don't need to mess with anything at the moment, because our main goal is just to get this to spawn and then get it to render. So rendering is the next step. Rendering for this is going to be pretty simple. Let me go ahead and see how much we've got. Yep, 12 minutes in this video. I'm trying to keep this one under 30, so apologize for that popping up. So we don't want to do anything with the JSON. The rendering, and we're gonna... I'm gonna make a package for the entity here. So we'll do this, throw this in here, because we're just gonna let the render code in here. So there's different styles about how you want to go about doing your package structure for when it comes to client code. Personally, I only stick specific client stuff in the client package, and if the render belongs to a certain entity, I put it in the package with the entity, so I don't have to go look for it. So this will be render entity RAWR, is what this will be. And we're gonna I'm gonna extend entity or render zombie real quick, just because I want to. I don't really want the biped stuff. I do need this right here, so I need to extend this here. And the zombie, for the most part, renders the same as a biped. They have layers now, so they moved over to a more of a layer system for stuff, and I don't know if we're going to do layers, because ideally what we would end up doing is we would end up using a layer for the gun, so that way we can change the gun out, would be ideal. But I'm not going to worry about that in this video. We'll hit that in another video later. So we're going to do this, and this is going to be, for our T value, this is a generic here. You just want to pass in that. That just kind of changes how the render methods work, or how your methods look like. You get the texture here, so it'll pass an entity raw for your texture. Constructor matching super. So we're going to need to give it a model. So it's going to need a model up here. It's going to need a shadow size. Our shadow size, I'm going to actually do like 0.3 for it. we're going to need to get the model. I should already have this, so I just need to dig it out of the folder. Google Drive, work, built broken, Minecraft, request. This should be in the user folder. I went ahead and made M1 a user folder and threw his stuff in there just so I didn't have to go look for his stuff later. And right there, that's what I want right there. Is that Java file? Drag that right into here. We'll rename it in a second. I don't want to do that. I don't know why it keeps asking me that. I'm going to need its model file here, and we're going to make a package for this called entity because we're going to add more content to this mod later, so we don't want to make our stuff a mess. So we're going to want to put this in here, and we're going to put that right entity. Actually, that needs to go in the texture folder, so don't do that one. I don't know why I put that in that folder. So this needs to be restore. Did I accidentally copy that stuff out? Yes, I did. Let me go ahead and grab that. Put that back there. I want to make sure I have copies of these files, so I don't want to make sure I'm losing them. So do that, and this needs to go down here. It doesn't really matter when it comes to hierarchy where your texture files really are when it comes to entity renders. You really just do it to keep yourself organized. That's almost the entire reason for doing this. Because we're going to end up defining a resource location here. This will be public static final, because you're going to define it as final because you're only going to ever have one instance of this. So this will be, we're just going to call this texture. Uppercase it to keep with standards. And in here, the way this will work is this will be the domain name, and this will be the path. And we should have a path in our main file, so it would be texture directory. And we might have a model directory if we're lucky. We don't have a model directory, so this will be like this. And actually, we don't even need to worry about model because we decided to put it in our entity directory. Let me check to see if this has a slash at the end of it. It does, so I don't need that slash. I need this one though. And this is going to be, this will be RAWR underscore minigun. Actually, this should be lowercase. I'm going to change this to RAWR dot minigun. You do want to make sure your assets are lowercase. I'm going to rename it again just so I can copy it. I think I need... No, I don't think I need a ping at the end of this. Let me check how the zombie's done. It does a ping. Okay, so we do need a ping. Always important to check if you're not sure. Your texture. We're only going to have one texture for this for the moment. In the future, we might have more textures. So do that. So that gets that taken care of. And let's get this model renamed. It's a bit of a mess. So this will be model RAWR minigun. Go ahead and reformat the class file real quick. I'm not gonna, like, a lot of this stuff is not named properly, but I'm not gonna worry about it because we don't really care about a lot of this. We're gonna mess with this method down here to do the rotation of the head and stuff, but we're gonna do that probably in the next video. So here we just need to do new model RAWR minigun. And can we access that model again? I don't think we need to worry about it because we're gonna use this down here to rotate the head, I believe. That's what we do. Or we might do this one down here. There's a way to do it. And if we go in the zombie, we can look at the zombie and how it's done. Or more appropriately, we have to go in the biped thing here. So yeah, this one does it down here. And it ends up, when it goes to render, it should change the head at some point. Oh yeah, it does it down here. So they set their head rotation. Down in this set rotation angles, we're going to be doing basically the same thing. Let me check to see if our model has it in there. I think... No, it doesn't have that method. So we're going to grab this real quick, because that's basically what the method is. And we're going to want to put that in our model. And what you want to do, especially when you use the Minecraft Java model system for entities, you need to set all of your rotations every single tick. We'll get to this probably in the next video when we actually do the head rotation and aiming mechanic, because what we'll do is we'll do the AI, get the AI functional, and then probably while we're working on the AI or after we work on the AI, we'll get the head to rotate, because there's no point in trying to get the head to rotate if there's no AI code to rotate the head. It'll be a waste of time. So we'll get all this set up. That I think is good. Now we just need to register this. I need to remember how registry works for this, because it's not done through that. I'm gonna have to open up the Mirror Pig mod, because they changed how they register models in the newer versions, and I still haven't memorized how it works. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna look at the Mirror Pig mod, because I had to ask somebody as well last time I did this. So if you ever get confused and have questions, feel free to ask people as well. I do it and I've been doing this for 8 years, so there's nothing embarrassing about it. So this should be done in client registry. Here it is. So I was close. It was model loader. It's the one we... Oh wait, that's not one. It was rendering registry. My brain is snapping on the wrong stuff today. But the reason they changed this is what it used to be is you would register entity, then you would register the renderer. However, now they've set it up so that way there's a factory method. So you have to register with the entity. So in this case, it would be entity RAWR. So you're telling it what entity does this renderer belong to, and then you want to then register your RAWR entity here, because basically the factory method. So it's what it's going to do is it's going to go, hey, we're going to set your renderer up, and it will then it will call this factory method, which will then produce your render. I think it's used for resource reloading. I think it's used for a few other things. So there's a bit more reasoning to it. It's also used so that way you can get the manager passed into the constructor, because the manager I don't think is constructed just yet or something. Somebody explained it to me. I'm probably wrong on my explanation to you guys. Just remember, this is the way you do it. And I don't think you have to do it in the register model thing, but it's a good idea to go ahead and register everything in your model registries area. So that should get that render registered. And if we now go in-game, which we're going to have to kill Minecraft and start back over, we should now have a rendered entity that we can look at. And the next step would be to work on the AI to get the AI functional. Then we'll get all the render code set up so that way with the AI, the entity reflects the proper rotations and everything. It looks like it's moving in the right direction. We'll do some animations for it. We may do some sound effects. So get that all working. Then we'll probably do a little bit more AI work, because the AI work we'll probably do will be very basic, because we'll just need to make sure we get it moving and shooting. So the more advanced AI stuff we'll do is probably the following, the patrolling stuff. Then after that, we'll probably put an inventory on it, so you have to start loading ammo into the thing, so we don't want to make it run for free, although we'll probably add configs to make it run for free at some point. We'll probably add some energy usage too, so you'll have to power the thing. So popping back in our world. There we go. And something didn't work right. Ah. Null point exception. Interesting. I don't think these attributes are set, so we need to come back in here and do these properly. So these are trying to get the attribute and then set the base value, but I don't think we've registered the attribute yet, because the follow range I think is the only one that's being registered so far. Yeah. So health, knockback, movement speed, armor toughness, and swim speed. So we can do armor. I need to look up what armor toughness actually does as well, because that's not something that's in here. So it doesn't have attack, but it does have move speed, so we can turn move speed on. And follow range was done in the super as well, so we can mess with that. It's just attack was probably part of entity creature and is only registered in entity creature, so we'll go ahead and set that up here later, and that should work. There we go. Our entity spawns. We go ahead and turn F3B off. Looks really nice. Turn F3B back on and check to see if the collision box... I'm going to say that collision box is good enough. Because if you end up attacking it like that, you're going to push it into the water and stuff. So it's going to work. It'll probably drown too, sadly. Let's actually drown. I'm not sure if that's the default thing. Yep, it drowns. Hey, we don't even have to worry about water damage. It'll just drown on its own. But I'm going to call that the end of the episode, and we'll be back with the next part where we'll work on AIs.